did both of your brothers end up in North Texas together? How did that happen?
So Toby and I had both been at Sam Houston. And since I'm older, I graduated from Sam Houston, but Toby wanted to transfer for a different major. He had his eyes set at first on an advertising degree. And so he and a friend of his transferred up to North Texas the semester before I was graduating. And so my mom had been pressuring me to go ahead and get my master's degree in English. And so he got up there and he was like, there's all these bands. So he called me and said, hey, Mom's wanting you to get your master's degree. There's tons of bands. Get up here. We'll start another band. And I was like, cool, because I don't have any idea what kind of job I'm going to get. I've got an English degree. That's the dumbest thing I've ever done. What do you do with an English degree? So I went ahead, doubled down and got a master's degree in English. But the whole thing was it prolonged me getting a job and it gave us this opportunity to start them. But that's how we both ended up there.
So tell me the story behind the band's first working name, Leper Messiah. Who came up with that? And then why did the name change?
Okay, well, it changed for obvious reasons, but
we didn't like Leper Messiah. It wasn't going over well.
I think I'm to blame. We were both big David Bowie fans, and David Bowie has a song called Ziggy Stardust, and in that song he says, like a leper Messiah. Because he also says in it, guys in screwed down hairdos, like some cat in Japan. In Japan, the band had gotten their name. We love Japan as well. And also Bauhaus, which is another one of our absolute favorite. They had covered Ziggy Stardust. So we're like, this is a sign. We will call ourselves Leper Messiah.
Like a Leper Messiah. Yeah.
Like a Leper Messiah. But what we didn't know was that Metallica had a song. I think it's on the B-side to Ride the Lightning. I'm not sure. And a lot more people at the time were more familiar with that. So we played some gigs as Leper Messiah for a while, and people would show up. Oh, are you guys a Metallica tribute band? And we're like, what are you talking about? Leper Messiah, man. And so we knew we had to change it. So we thought we were so clever, though. We were like, why is there no band called Leper Messiah? It's genius. And even before the Metallica thing, everybody was going, it's not genius. It sounds horrible. It's a horrible sounding name. And so we changed it. Thank God. Not that Deep Blue Something's any better. But
well, how did y'all come up with that name? I mean, it's kind of now considered a quintessential 90s band name, but how did you guys come up with it?
Okay. So during the Leper Messiah days, we had this long 15-minute space epic that we used to play. And we started playing it again recently. And we had the first half of it written. It was like this 2-parter. And so we were going to write this second half. And I was like, well, what can it be about? Give me something that can write it. And John just said, it sounds like water. You should call it Deep Blue Something. And I was like, Deep Blue Something? He was like, yeah, I don't know. Just think of something else, but Deep Blue Something. I was like, no, Deep Blue Something. That sounds good. Where did you get that? He said, I don't know. You're not understanding. It's like, I do understand. Deep Blue Something is sounds good. And so that was the name of that part of the song.
Like Deep Blue Something else, like Deep Blue.
Yeah, he wanted me to
another word besides
come
something.
up with another. Yeah. And I was like, no, I like that weird vagueness. Deep Blue Something. It sounds cool. Or at least, I don't know. And so when we were desperate for a band name, we figured, well, that's as good and bad as anything else. You know, when you really think about it, The Cure, not a great name. Love them. Even any band, every band name, if you overanalyze it, is kind of stupid. So ours is as stupid as anybody else's.
So walk us through the creation of your first album, 11th Song. What memory sticks out to you the most from you guys creating that album?
We recorded it and mixed it in the span of like 3 days. We did it as a 3-piece too. Because it was looking like for a little bit that it wasn't going to happen. Even trying to get $500 together, it was like, because this was back when we were having to buy one guitar string at a time, you know. And so it was looking like it wasn't going to happen. And then all of a sudden it was, but we lost a guitar player along the way in that. And so we recorded it as a 3-piece. So I played, you know, my normal thing, playing the bass and singing. And then I also played some of the, rhythm guitar parts. But so that's a 3-piece. And then Lee Davila, who was in the band for a little while, had come in. He did a couple of backing vocals, and then he kind of joined the band right after it was finished. But yeah, just we recorded it with this guy named Eric Delegard, who's still making records. We did it in his apartment. It was super fun. It was cool to us because we had only ever made recordings on our 4-track. So to us that was really cool. But yeah, just really fast, one take, playing almost all live, and then just overdubbing the parts for the guy that wasn't there. And yeah, it was fun.
So in a providential stroke of fate, Breakfast at Tiffany's was actually on that first album. And you might be tired of telling the story, but I'd love to hear what that song's journey was like initially. I
liked the phrase Breakfast at Tiffany's. I hadn't seen the movie in forever, like since I was a little kid probably, and maybe only part of that at the time. But I had somehow or other heard the phrase again, maybe in reference to the Capote book. And I just thought that sounds really cool. I got to figure out how to work that into a song. Because I think if I could figure out how to, but it's a clumsy thing to say in a way, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and then put that rhythmically into a song. And so I couldn't think about it, couldn't figure out how to do it. It just walked around in my head for like a year probably. And then I worked at the university library, and I had a spare 15 minutes before I was supposed to be there. And I sat down on the couch and I turned on the TV, and Roman Holiday, a different Audrey Hepburn movie, was on. And I thought, I really should mess with that Breakfast at Tiffany's idea. So I picked up the guitar and I just kind of just said out loud, and I said, what about Breakfast at Tiffany's? And I was like, what about, okay, I'll have one character talking to another character. So I said, what about, and so very quickly it turned into this breakup song, that this idea that these two people had dated each other and it was a colossal waste of time, except for this one thing. They agreed that they kind of liked this movie. They didn't love it. They just kind of and then that was like, okay, well then I guess that's that, right? So the other thing that I think was key to the writing of the song was I also was really curious if you could write a successful, popular song that didn't rhyme and didn't repeat. And I was really curious because remember I was in graduate school. I was getting an MFA in writing. I was reading lots of Baudelaire and Rimbaud and those, a lot of those guys, which, all of Rimbaud's stuff doesn't rhyme. This kind of idea of prose poetry and stuff. Can you do that? Could you suspend a narrative in a song, have it be popular, and for no one to realize that it doesn't rhyme or repeat? It doesn't say Breakfast at Tiffany's, Breakfast at Tiffany's, breakfast. It doesn't do that. It just says it once each chorus, And so I figured, I was like, well, now I've worked Breakfast at Tiffany's in, maybe that will be strong enough to hide the fact that the rest of the song doesn't rhyme. And so now I've got this task.